Welcome to another day of accountability, where I talk about data analysis and what it is that I've learned. Today we'll be talking about data sources, right? Let's first start off by listing the data sources that data analysts, such as my future self, deal with. Okay, we have relational databases. Then we have flat files and XML files, API and web services, web scraping and data streams. So now let's talk about relational databases. One thing that I noticed about relational databases, right, is that it's very company orientated, because this includes business activities, whether it's HR, workflows, customer transactions. When you put that in a relational database, it kind of gives you a track record, right? Which is great if you want to be acquired, which is one thing that I've noticed why there's so much hype around data, why people or companies could actually get into trouble if they don't, account for their data, or if they're negligent with their data, or if a person steals data. Nonetheless, what softwares are used when it comes to such? You have SQL-orientated softwares, whether it's MySQL, SQL Server. Then we also have, besides for SQL, we have Oracle and IBM databases or database, which I'm still yet to familiarize myself with, but I feel like it's highly important to know, but we'll get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. The benefits of having relational databases is that obviously they can store your clientele, your customer base, which you can go back to re-engage with customers. And another one is you can leverage it for analysis, whether it's analyzing a company's progress or analyzing sales projections. Now let's talk about flat files and XML datasets. If I'm being honest, I can't really tell what differs, because the benefits somewhat overlap, but what I do understand about flat files is that the most common one is your CSV and spreadsheets. So obviously that's structured and unstructured data sets, but obviously when you're dealing with CSVs, you have delimiters. And I guess the benefits are just storing data. I wish I could tell you any better, but I'll just be regurgitating what it is that I talked about in terms of databases. So we'll just talk about the characteristics of flat files. They store data in plain text format. Each line or row is one record. Each value is separated by a delimiter. All of the data in a flat file maps to a single table. The most common flat file is a CSV. Under flat files, then you have different types, right? You have spreadsheets as well as XML files. Spreadsheets are special types of flat files. They organize data in a tabular format, and they can actually have multiple worksheets. So obviously there are different types of softwares that you can use, whether it's Google Sheets, Excel, Microsoft Excel, Apple Numbers, so on and so forth. Then we have the other type, XML files, right? Data values are identified or marked using tags. They can support complex data structures. The common uses are online surveys, bank statements, and other unstructured data sets. Now, another data source is APIs. An example we could explore is Facebook and Twitter's APIs when it comes to analyzing sentiment, which the first time I actually noticed such was when it came to one of America's elections. I think it was one of the first times when Trump was going in against Hillary. So that was pretty interesting. Like, oh, okay. So this is how big companies can actually manipulate, let me just say, utilize data and actually target their marketing in order to have or supposedly have a certain outcome. Then we also have stock market APIs for trading analysis. Then we have data looking and validating APIs for cleaning and correlating data. Then we have one of my favorites, or let me just say what it is that I'm actually excited for: web scraping, right? Which can be used to get data, or rather, let's just say information based upon competitors' prices, suppliers, manufacturers. You can also use it to get training and data sets for machine learning. Then another data source that I actually find very interesting is data streams, which is basically about aggregating streams of data flowing from multiple sources, whether it's IoT, meaning Internet of Things, GPS from cars, social media posts, and company programs and sites. The list is pretty endless when it comes to this. So you can imagine that this could really give you a lot of insight when it comes to, per se, focusing on whatever it is that your niche is, especially if you're looking for real-time data. One thing that I'm interested in, especially when it comes to data stream fields, is an example that I got from this lecture, right? Where they analyzed a company's traffic based upon Google Maps and how the interaction is like. Now that I think about it, it's actually pretty apparent, because Google actually mentions when this specific company is busy and when it isn't. Now, taking into consideration, if you get that data stream and have, per se, 10 of your competitors, right? 10 of the competitors that you watch, as well as analyzing, per se, what you scraped from them, as well as sentiments on their social medias, if they do have a presence or lack of, but also pay attention to the Google Maps, or let's just say the data stream that could be offered based upon maps and their traffic. You could actually tell a story. You get me? I feel like there's valuable insight that could be gained. But nonetheless, let's not think too far. So that's what I learned in terms of data sources, and it's pretty interesting as to the insight that can be gained. Because that's one thing that I look at and I'm like, this is what Google Analytics or SEMrush aims to do, right? They take this data and visualize it for you, then hey, you can make out of it what you do. But if a company were to actually take a step further, and besides for obviously gaining the insight that's needed from these other platforms, but also tailoring their data solutions, or their data strategy as to how can they, or what data is necessary for them to take and to grow. Because it's one thing if you're going to compare yourself to a huge company, right, with, per se, hundreds of employees. But if you compare yourself to a company with 10 employees or so, you could actually monitor your progress and growth. Because I guess we always look to the bigger companies and then we try and replicate them. But then that is good, right? That is an ideal. But then if we can just figure out, okay, cool, what are the steps between here and there? And what does the data say about this specific company's progress and what it is that they're doing? And everything in between, and what it is that we need to do and implement, It's like, I look at it as getting an overview map and then being like, okay, cool, then now that we understand what's the overview, this is the specific path, but there's always a shortcut that we can take. And what is the risk of those shortcuts? I could get mad. But nonetheless, I could make it to my goal, to my destination a lot quicker. But nonetheless, that's neither here nor there. Thanks for watching.